Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I am your host. Folks, Goldilocks has been stating for quite some time that as the dollar gets weaker, the currencies will become stronger. Several members who have established relationships with bankers, the actual bankers that will exchange their currency and or manage their wealth, has also told the members as the dollar gets weaker, foreign currencies will become stronger. Many of you again are questioning how the U.S. strike now on Iran will affect the RV. How will this war with Iran and Israel, will it stop the RV? Well, let's get right into what Goldilocks is sharing today, folks. Let's jump right into it. People, the RV is not about Iraq because it's in the Middle East. The RV is not about Iraq and fears growing because of the Iran and Israel war. Fears of the U.S. striking Iran. And oh, by the way, Iraq is a neighbor. Will it stop the RV? Folks, I'm going to say this straight to you with no chaser. You have been fooled to believe that the RV is about Iraq. You've been told that as the Iraqi DINAR RVs, it will trigger all the other currencies. Folks, again, straight with no chaser, that's bull, sugar, honey, iced tea. You've been told so much about the RV by so many people, and you believed it. This is why so many of you are not prepared at the banks with the bankers who will exchange your currency. Let's get into what Goldilocks is sharing about the benefits, the positive potential reactions to the market relative to the currencies that many of us may hold. Are you not aware that every U.S. specifically strike, war, attack, whatever you may want to call it, is planned? Goldilocks is sharing that the bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities by Israel and the U.S. has heightened geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. Pay attention to this very closely, driving a surge in gold prices as investors flock to gold as a safe haven asset. So as a result of the Middle East strikes, gold is surging. Folks, what do we need for the RV? Gold. What is this? What is safe haven? The most protected, valued safe haven? Gold. Goldilocks is sharing this, an analysis of how this conflict is affecting gold's status. Pay attention. Gold prices have risen significantly, with reports indicating a climb of over $3,400 an ounce. It's been climbing for quite some time, but this is what Goldilocks is sharing as the residual effects of this conflict. Gold is now continuously reaching its all-time high. Gold as a safe haven demand. The escalation in the Middle East, including Iran's retaliatory missile strikes and threats to close the Strait of Hormuz, has increased global economic uncertainty. What is a result of it? More investors are moving away from riskier assets such as equities and moving towards gold. So what we're seeing is that where traditional investors around the world are shifting and moving their wealth into gold because it's safer. They're moving into gold as a result of this conflict in the Middle East. Are you not aware, folks, that yes, gold has been continuously rising to its all-time high over the last several months, and even more so now with this Middle East conflict? Why? The demand for gold is going up, so the value of gold is going up. And investors are moving into gold as a result of this Middle East conflict. That's the cause. The effect is gold is going up. Gold is not going down as a result of the Middle East conflict. What if, and I'm going to ask this question, you come to the conclusion of your own answers. What if this is all by design? For investors, major banks, to pump more investment dollars into gold. What do we need for the RV? Gold. Meaning, whereby all of the banks, the central banks around the world that hold the currencies that we hold, Central Bank of Iraq, as the conversation with the central bank 2 months ago with D, Goldilocks, and myself, the Central Bank of Iraq proudly told us how much they're buying in gold 2 months ago. Some of you may forget the reports that we showed the receipts where Iraq now has moved up to the 30th, I believe, in the world in gold reserve in the Middle East, ranked 9th with 130 tons of gold. Iraq, Vietnam, and other countries, Venezuela, other countries around the world have been stockpiling gold for years in preparation for the transition into the new digital asset-based trading system. Gold is the asset. One of the several assets, but the main asset that will be the anchor and the root of the new digital banking system, from whereby we will exchange our currencies into the new digital banking system called the digital asset-based trading system. The war has solidified gold status, Goldilocks is stating, as a critical safe haven asset, with prices surging due to heightened Middle East tensions and economic risks. See, war creates uncertainty in many different areas in the financial world. So what investors and big banks are doing, because of those risks, they're pumping more money into gold. Coincidence? Middle East crisis a coincidence? Goldilocks is stating that, however, the extent of future gains depends on Iran's response and whether the conflict escalates further or more towards diplomatic resolution. Nonetheless, the money that all these investors have pumped into gold, they're not going to take it out of gold. Remember, Goldilocks has talked about a weaker dollar? Remember, we shared this past weekend on Saturday Night Dialogues and the weekend before Saturday Night Dialogues how Trump's plan to revalue currency will be through tariffs, and the plan will also be to weaken the U.S. dollar? This is what Goldilocks is stating. A weaker dollar and stronger gold could create conditions that influence interest in a new digital banking system. But the connection is indirect and depends on broader economic and political factors. A weaker dollar, Goldilocks is stating, often signals declining confidence in fiat currency. I'm going to repeat that. A weaker dollar often signals declining confidence in a fiat currency. What is the US dollar that you hold? Fiat currency. What's the dinar, the dong, and every currency out there in the world? Fiat currency. What is fiat? Backed by nothing. Not backed by gold. The only currency is the Chinese yuan, the Chinese currency, and the Russian ruble that is relatively backed by gold. A digital banking system, Goldilocks is stating, whether based on central bank digital currencies or decentralized cryptocurrencies, could gain traction. But the safe haven of gold is where big money players, I'm going to use this language. Gold is where whales are moving their money into. You heard about them whales, right? Here in DINAR land. Yeah. Those fabricated whales that supposedly have all these bonds. Yeah. I'm talking about the real whales. I'm saying whales because I know it triggers people and I know it'll really catch your attention. But because if I say investors, bankers, you wouldn't even realize, some of you wouldn't even realize that these are the real money players. Not them so-called. Yeah, I'm not speaking of them, Bubbles the whale. Bubbles the whale in RV where you all been told about these fake imaginary ghostly whales that have all this money investing in bonds. Sad for many of you who have believed that. So if you want to think of a whale, think of the central banks for all the currencies you hold. If you want to think of a whale, think of the Central Bank of Iraq. Think of the Federal Reserve. Think of BlackRock. Think of JP Morgan. Think of the IMF, the World Bank. These are real whales. Not the whales you were told about in DINAR land. So understand, when money is moving, big money is moving into gold, it is the bankers in the banking system from which we will be exchanging our currency into. They are the real whales. So now when it comes to a weaker dollar, it signals instability, pushing the real whales towards gold, which could accelerate the adoption of a decentralized digital system, which is our new banking system. What Goldilocks is stating is that, in short, a weaker dollar and stronger gold could amplify interest in the new digital banking system by exposing the vulnerabilities of fiat currencies, which we already know they're very subject to vulnerabilities because they're not backed by anything. Goldilocks is stating that the U.S. dollar is not seeing a strong flight to quality rally. So the U.S. dollar is not seeing any strength, much strength right now, suggesting markets viewed the conflict more as an oil supply shock than a global safe haven event. The strike in the Middle East, the conflict, has affected gold and oil more than anything. The lack of a strong U.S. dollar rally suggests markets are not treating this as a systemic gold crisis, but rather a regional issue just in the Middle East. What Goldilocks is stating is that the bottom line, gold is rising in price and value across many countries. It's reaching sentimental value. This move is the beginning to overtake the value of the dollar. Yes, gold is rising to a point where it may overtake the U.S. dollar. So what Goldilocks is saying is that this sentiment continues. The following can occur. The dollar can continuously depreciate. Gold prices can continuously surge. Disruption of the global trade. Central bank challenges. Geopolitical shifts. Folks, Basel III, a set of international banking regulations developed by the Basel Committee and aims to enhance financial stability by increasing capital requirements of the the banks, improving liquidity of the banks, and reducing systematic risks at the banks. It is not designed to raise the value of currencies, though. It's designed for the move to protect the banking system from weakening currencies. Trade can influence currency values. Goldilocks is stating trade. But whether it strengthens them depends on a country's trade balance, economic context, and marketing dynamics. It all depends on each country, folks, in trade and how they shift, maneuver, react to the negotiations of the trade agreements under the umbrella of the tariffs. Along with gold becoming more increasingly a safe haven asset as we move into the new banking system called the digital asset-based trading system. Are you watching the water now? Goldilocks is asking. Goldilocks is stating is that if I were to write a book on the new digital asset-based trading system, I will consider today's information to be the outline for its final chapters. Folks, stay grounded, stay well. We love you. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.